What's the cruelest prank you've ever seen? I have no idea what radio station this was on, as I was only a kid. But they used to do prank phone calls. I have little to no recollection of many of them except this one, as even as a kid I could tell it was just wrong. The radio host rang up a woman and advised that he was the manager of her husband's company and he was very sorry to tell her that he had been involved in an accident with some heavy machinery and it had resulted in his death. As you would expect, the woman was beside herself with being told her husband had just died. She was wailing on the phone and the radio host couldn't really get another word in to explain it was a joke. And then they just cut off the phone call and played a song. Even as a kid I knew it was a really stupid and cruel idea. And I'm pretty sure that was the last time they did a prank phone call. I remember seeing a video where they switched the pregnancy test to a fake positive one on their friend, struggling with infertility. Fucked up. I remember when the ALS challenge was popular, I read an article about a prank played on a special needs high schooler. These kids told him it was just water in the bucket. But it was also piss, cigarette butts, all sorts of disgusting shit. Then they put the video all over the internet, as though the bucket wasn't enough. In high school, one of the cutest girls in my grade came up to me and told me she had a crush on me and wanted to go out on a date. I was skeptical because no one had ever asked me out before. But I was growing into my body pretty well and definitely more attractive than I was as an early teen, so I just figured puberty was doing some good work for me. We were 16/17 and had both just got our licenses, so she said she'd meet me at the movie theater and we'd go have dinner after the movie. I told my mom and she got all excited and helped me pick out an outfit and took pictures of me before my first ever date. Cringe AF, but you know how it goes. I went and got a haircut and my car detailed so it'd be rolling fresh. You know. And believe me, I was looking tasty. Fresh shave. Hair edged up sharp enough to cut glass. I was dripped out before the phrase even existed. So I show up at the theater a couple minutes early and I am waiting for her, and after like 15 minutes I think maybe I'll call her to make sure she didn't like have an emergency come up or something. We didn't have texting back then. So I call her and she answers on speakerphone and like 5 other girls are all laughing at me, saying things like, "Ha ha ha, he actually showed up." So yeah, it was all just a prank to hurt my feelings. Jokes on me, I guess. The girl who hid her boyfriend's wheelchair on YouTube, that shit wasn't funny. A friend of a friend in high school had her boyfriend pretend that he'd died. He had one of his friends call her saying he had died in a car accident and had someone else calling up pretending to be a doctor from the hospital. She was hysterical. Later that day, after she kept asking the fake doctor which hospital it was so she could be there, she found out it was all prank to see if she cared. Horrible. Anyway, they broke up. To this day it's the nastiest prank I've seen in person. The Daddy05 YouTuber pranks. Those weren't pranks, they were child abuse. A friend of mine faked her suicide to get back at her boyfriend for April Fool's Day. I had helped her without knowing she was going that far. Her boyfriend had called her a slut and dumped her when she told him she was pregnant. Don't miss living in college dorms. Don't miss either of them. In 6th grade, one opened my locker and a note from the boy I had a crush on fell out saying he liked me too. A bunch of girls in my grade were there when I found it and were super happy for me. Or I thought they were. When I went to the boy to ask him about it, he said he didn't write it and the group of girls who were there when I found the note had written it. I turned around and sure enough they're laughing. But it crushed me. Not that the boy didn't like me back, but because I didn't think these girls I'd gone to school with since first grade were that mean. A couple weeks later, the group played a similar joke on one of the girls who was actually in on the prank against me. And I got a genuine apology from her after she realized how bad I must have felt. None of the other girls ever apologized. I was once prank called by someone. A classmate, presumably. And they told me they were going to kill my best friend who was in the same class as me. It was really fucking weird. The school never figured out who it was. They just asked if my friend had any enemies. Bro. We're 11. The first time I met my brother's new girlfriend, she pulled me aside and started crying. She told me that she was pregnant, but my brother wasn't ready to tell anyone. She asked me to check up on him cause he was really nervous. A couple days go by and I texted her to see how she was doing and if my brother was doing okay and if they needed anything. She asked me what I was talking about. I said the baby. She replied, "Oh, you believed me. I was only joking. I'm not pregnant. I can't believe you fell for that." This wasn't some teenager either. She was 30. Yes, I told my brother. Yes. He still ended up marrying her. Almost 10 years later, I still refuse to trust her. My brother gave my phone number to some rondo, who proceeded to call me at all hours and threaten to rape me.
Someone asked a guy to be her boyfriend, he said yes, and the next day she invited all her friends to tell him that she did it as a joke.
Saw a guy tip over the porta potty with someone in it. That memory is clear. I think it was his GF. When I was a kid, somehow my classmates found it funny to piss in other people's cans of soda. I did not have a good childhood. My dad told me that when he was a kid, a friend of his gave him a glass of lemonade. It was Drano mixed with something else and my dad vomited for hours. Thankfully he survived and went on to have kids. But his vocal cords were never the same. Darren Brown, English illusionist, did a TV show a few years ago. Long story short, he convinced a young lad who had got really drunk the night before that he had killed a girl. They set him up so bad. Psychologically. It looked like they had broken this poor lad. To the point where everything they had set up, actors, set, fake police, etc., made the lad so convinced that he had killed someone, that he handed himself into the fake police station and admitted to a murder. I'll never forget the one tear trickling down this kid's face in the devastation at what he thought he had done. Then bloody Darren Brown appears from behind a screen like, surprise. Quote, "It was fucking cruel and has stuck with me for a long time. I've actually found a link to it. https u2.be/-as2oxwalk. Seen a video of two small girls. One told the other to look at the doorknob really close as it distorts your face. She then slammed the door right into her face, hitting her teeth. My so-called friends had my mom drop me off at a mall and we hang out until nearing my bedtime. Mind you, this was back when there were pagers. For the generation that grew up with smartphones. Back before cell phones, where something everyone had there used to be a pager. So I asked my friends when we were going back home cause my mom has talked to their mothers about someone dropping me off home. My parents both worked. Anyways, they decided to tell me that their mom will pick them up from this door and I should go ahead of them. They left and I was a 12-year-old lost kid in a mall with no parent. Luckily one of the male school bullies saw me and was like, "Oi nerd, what re you doing late?" And I just broke down crying. Kid just dropped the bullying and went, oi oi oi, what happened? And according to my parents, I just blabbered everything IJT, and he told me to wait till he found a phone and paged my dad while calling his mom and telling her what happened. Needless to say, they got a frantic father going, what the hell happened, and the girls said they told their mom that I saw my uncle and left with him. But to be honest, me and the bully became best of friends. Edit. My parents thought I was kidnapped when they called my uncle, who said he hasn't been on shift in that area. Prank war going on in between two houses that were next to each other in San Diego. CA circa 2014. My cousin lived in one of the houses, and this happened when I went to visit him a few years back. House number 1 pulled a prank that led to a member in house number 2 being late for his first day of work. It was collateral damage, but the guy ended up getting fired for it. Guy who lost his job came home furious. He then took a 15-pound medicine ball and painted it to look just like a soccer ball. He tossed the medicine ball into the front yard of house number 1 and waited. When he saw the guy come out of the house, he yells, "Hey, Josh, can you kick that ball back over here?" Dude proceeds to take a running start and square up and kick the soccer ball with every ounce of strength he had. Poor bastard went down almost immediately in tears and screaming. Ended up breaking 3 bones in his right foot. Just brutal.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.